Yeah, what a way to start out this last adventure of Matty Morg's Year 2 with a multi-class character. $75. Ooh. Duelist, you're a high roller here. That's fine, though. All right, so we're going to multi-class once. Although if you would have gotten a 91 to 100, it would have been like a 3-class character. So we're going to multi-class once, and we have a male character. All right. So you know what? We're jumping into it, everyone. We still have some ice and some decorations. We're in a festive spirit as we write out the last of Year 2 of Matty Morg's, despite it being the beginning of January. You started a 5e game at work, funny man. Every other Sunday after you close the store. That's awesome. And you know what? I hope that is that ends up being very good team building. All right, so we have a male character who's multi-classed. Now, I figured for what we're doing, right? This is kind of the epic conclusion to this year, and so I'm gonna put all races we currently have in the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's going to get updated with Eberron and Acquisitions Incorporated and other things that have come out with official content. But as this was introduced, we're going to finish out this year with all the options that we currently have available and go from there. And you know what? I'm throwing in D&D time too, as a respectful nod over to our brothers and sisters in that community. Shift, we are going to be building a completely randomized character together, to make us imagine, to get us to think about maybe builds we never thought that we'd play before. Stop it! Ugh, cat. You are such a cat. Stop it. All right, that's better. All right, so next up, we have our races, and currently we have 47. And what we'll do is we'll just split this up into quadrants of 12. And so, Shift, would you please roll a D4, and you do that by typing exclamation point 1D4 in chat. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 35. So, shift, hold on, don't worry. I was reading the line number. Cat's over here trying to destroy some property, as cats do. We're going to go 6 and 6. Never mind. So, Shift. It's okay, don't worry. I failed you, Shift. I'm taking responsibility. That's right, we all make mistakes. We all have flaws. And we'll find out what this character's flaws. So, Shift. Please type exclamation point 1D6. 1D6. 3. Okay. So we're going for our third set of 6s. So this is 1, 2, and then starting here, Ivlon, will you also roll a D6 in chat to tell us which race that we're going to be getting? Two. So, Gith would be 1. A gnome is 2. All right. Now, there are 3 types of gnomes. There are deep gnomes, forest gnomes, and rock gnomes. If I can get Kevin, will you please roll a D3 in chat to let us know which kind of gnome we are going to have? It's only that way because they show up in 2 source books, Ivalon. 1, we are making a deep gnome. Or a Svirfneblin, if you want to pronounce it that way. Now, Ivalon, it only has to do with which sources are checked in. And because they show up in 2 different sources, they show up twice. So that's why I asked for a D3, because there's 3 types of gnomes: deep, forest, and rock. Okay. We have a male Svirfneblin, or a deep gnome. They are small, SMOL. And we're going to multiclass as well. Now, what is our alignment? Hello, Pell. And hello, Coffee Cat. Pell, will you please type !1D100 in chat? And let us know. We're going to use balanced odds for this character. Are you there, Pell? There we go. All right, awesome. Thank you. 64. We have a chaotic neutral. A chaotic neutral character. Now, at which level are we going to create this character? Let's find out with another roll. Coffee Cat, will you please roll a percentile in chat? !1D100. And let us know which level character we're going to create tonight. Stops on an 18. We're making a level 6 character. Now, this is going to be character level 6. Remember, we are multi-classing. So we'll split that in some way. Now, there is the possibility that we can end up with an ability score improvement at level 4. Random Hero, will you please type !1D100 to let us know if we're going to take just the stat bump or if we're going to replace that with a feat. Stops on a 94. Well, so at the level we're creating the character, we're not going to get an option of 4 feats, but we will end up replacing an ASI that we may get with a feat if possible. I'm going to make a note of that here. Feat. It'll depend on the I guess the classes that we roll. Now it is time to determine, hi Grimvex, our background. There are 44 different backgrounds that we currently have in the character creator, and of course more are going to appear after the winter break. Grimvex, so let's see, 44, we could just do a D4 then a D12, ignoring a 12 roll. We're going to be playing a deep gnome or a Svirfneblin rod. So Grimvex, can you please type !1D4 in chat? And Rod, can you please type !1D12 in chat? All right, so we're going to start into our second set of 11. So this is going to be number 1 here, because we're ignoring the 12s. Nine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to be a Golgari agent out of the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. A Golgari agent. Now, as you can see, there are 12 classes. Of course, after the winter break, Artificer will be added. Victor, will you please type exclamation point? Yeah, if any of you want to get your guesses in, we're going to be having 2 classes. Remember, we're multi-classed. So type exclamation point 1D12. Stops on an 8. We have a ranger. Now there are 5 different kinds of rangers: Beastmaster, Gloomstalker, Horizon Walker, Hunter, and Monster Slayer. Just otherness, will you please type exclamation point 1D6 to let us know which kind of ranger we are? Hi, Refry. Stops on a 1, we are a Beastmaster Ranger as our first class. Now let's multi-class. Raz, will you please type exclamation point 1D12? Stops on an 8, another ranger. Raz, you can't multi-class the same class. So let's see, we got to give it a brief cooldown for you, and then I would like you to roll again. I'd ask what are the odds, but it's 1 in 12. Which is something like an 8% chance? It's around there. Alright, give the D12 another try, Raz. Man, Raz is rolling 2D6 trying to exclude barbarians. No, still on cooldown. Alright, I'll tell you what, Raz. Refry, because Raz, you're on a global cooldown. Refry, can you please type exclamation point 1D12? And Raz, will have you get the subclass. Lands on a 1, the one that Raz was trying to ignore with a 2D6. We have a Ranger Barbarian. And now, Raz, will you please roll a D6 in chat to let us know which kind of Barbarian we're multi-classing into? A 5, a Totem Warrior. So we have a... Oh, that's actually a pretty cool combination. A Beastmaster Ranger and Totem Warrior Barbarian. Coffee Cat, you're going to go to San Antonio in April to see your mom get married. Ooh, have fun on your trip. Are you going by plane, train, automobile? Do you have an adventure planned? Are you going to take a lot of pictures for reference for your Vampire the Masquerade game? That's random. You called Barb. You know what's interesting about this mix, as a Beastmaster Ranger, you are someone who sort of humanizes animals. As a Totem Barbarian, you are a human who becomes animalistic because of your sort of belief in these spirit totems. So it's a really cool, like a yin-yang thing going on with these. Going by plane with your bestie and plan to take lots of pictures? Yes. Please do, Coffee, and share all of them. Yeah, the pet could very well be the same totem, and it would probably... Yeah, I think we're going to go for a 3-3 split, Kevin. Excellent. So we're going to go... I'm going to have to shorthand this. Ranger... Barbarian... Beastmaster... Totem. And I think we're going to go 3-3 so we get the class features of each. Now, being a ranger, we are going to have a favored enemy, a fighting style, and a natural explorer. And I believe all of that does fall within the first 3 levels of the character here. Yeah, fighting style, natural explorer, and favorite enemy. So let's generate this information right now with our ranger. All right, so is there someone there who hasn't rolled yet? Hart, have you rolled yet? Is there are there any other people out there that would like to? Oh, Syart is here. Oh, Syart, you're very welcome. I'm happy for that. All right, Hark, not yet. So, Hark, why don't you give us our? I guess we're gonna go for our favored enemy is on a 14-sided die, and so what we'll do is we'll just treat this as I guess as 2d8s here. I don't have that command. Again, I need to work on my bots, which will happen over this 2-week downtime where I'm not traveling and have you know, family holiday stuff and other events. So let's do this. Let's roll 1d4 in chat, Hark. And lows are going to be 1 through 7. Highs are going to be 8 through 14. All right, so this is going to be the first 7. Hey, Joe, welcome. Joe, will you please type exclamation point 1d8 and we'll ignore the 8? Coffee, overall, it was good. I got to see a lot of people. I did some traveling. Ultimately, it was bad because there was a death in the family, and so there was a funeral as a part of everything. And but you know what? It was still a mix. I got to see people. I made the most of it as I could. Again, lots of travel, good food, and good memories. And so overall, while there is a poignant tang to it, it was very good overall. On a 1. All right, so aberrations. Aberrations are going to be our favored enemy. Well, you know, given that we are supernatural, aberrations are super unnatural. I guess it would make sense, huh? You know, because we did, Coffee Cat, you rolled for our level, and while normally I'd be happy to roll with this, as we did get some feats, I would like to get a reroll on the level we're creating this character, so maybe we can get it just a touch more. If it was a single class, I'd absolutely stick with it, but for a multi-class build like this, I'd like to tack on a little bit more. Can you give me another percentile roll, Coffee Cat, to to replace the first one, so that we're over 6. Stops on a 51. Okay, so level 11. There we go. Thank you. So we'll split this somewhere among 11. And then we'll end up taking some feats, I'm sure. Probably 2? I don't know, we'll see. Hi, Big Joe. Big Joe, while you're here, haha, you have homework. Can you please roll a... can you please roll 1d4, exclamation point, 1d4 in chat to give us our ranger fighting style? Three. We have the dueling fighting style. Hi, Slaso. Good morning to you. Yeah, Slaso, tell you what, thank you for saying something. Slaso, roll 1d8 to give us our natural explorer. On a 7, the swamp. The swamp. Now, as we are going to be taking more levels, we're going to be at least, because when we multi-class in the workshop, I want it to at least be a 50-50 split, or if there's a tiebreaker, it's in favor of our original class, which would be Ranger. So we would at least have a 6-5 split, if not, you know, like 8 and 3 could work as well. Or if we... Pardon. If we wanted to go, you know, 9... Oh, geez, come on. I'm sorry. Or 8 and 3 or 7 and 4, something like that. However we do it, though, I think we're going to have at least a level 6 Ranger. And that is going to give us another favored type of terrain and another favored enemy. And so why don't we roll those now, since we're loading this in. So we have swamp and something else. We have aberrations and something else. All right. Is there anyone out there who has not rolled yet and would like to? Syart, you know what? I haven't seen you roll. I mean, you're doing some warm-up rolling. Help us get our second favored enemy by typing exclamation point 1d4 in chat. Stops on a 1, so we're gonna have aberration. Well, we already have aberration, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now, because we're in the same block here, I need a d6 roll. And Duelist Demonic, will you please type exclamation point 1d6 to help us determine our second favorite enemy? One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So aberrations and elementals are going to be our favorite enemies. And now we need one more natural explorer roll. And so this will be a d8 roll, and if 7 comes up, then, you know, we'll just ignore that. Hey, Cold Spark. In fact, Cold Spark, welcome. Cold Spark, can you give me a d8 roll in chat, please? And we're going to ignore the 7 because we already have swamp. 4. 1, 2, 3. The forest. The forest and the swamp are our favored biomes. Very good. Now, how old is this character? Let's determine. Rod, will you please roll 1D100? Exclamation point 1D100. Hey, Sheeps. Oh, you got to get in on this rolling, too. Stops on a 66. We have a middle-aged Svirfneblin or a deep gnome. Now, we're going to go from Aarakocra, and we are going to go... Genasi. There we go. Deep gnomes. So, a middle-aged deep gnome is 106 plus 1d58 years. I'm going to roll this one, so I'm going to open the dice roller. We come down here, and this is... I'm going to make a 58-sided die, and I'm going to add 106 to it. Our character is 152 years old. Whoops. $152. Okay. Excellent. You just got done running the Adventurers League Epic Infernal Pursuits. Is that an adventure that's tied in with Avernus, or is that something all its own, Cold Spark? All right, oh sheeps. This is 2d4. I don't have that. I'll tell you what, oh sheeps. I'm gonna need 2d8s, 2d4s, and a 4d6 for the personality. All right, oh sheeps, will you please type exclamation point 4d6 for the ideal bond and flaw of the character here. And then can I get, Kevin, if you're still out there, can you roll a D4 in chat? A pretty pleased with a cherry on top? Alright, so Sheeps is giving us an ideal bond and flaw of 313. Kevin is giving us our first height modifier of 3 inches. Hey, Diadems. Diadems, can you please type exclamation point 1d8 for our first personality trait? And for everyone out there, especially if you're new, why I'm spreading out the rolls, there's a global cooldown timer, and so I want the numbers generated, but I can't have the same numbers spammed, and we're having to deal with repetitive numbers. Stops on a 4, so personality trait 4. Now let's come back around. Raz, can you please roll a d4 for the second height modifier? And who else is out there? Victor's out there. Victor, can you please roll a d8 in chat to give us our second personality trait? All right, so we're adding 6 inches to the base height. So he is going to be 2 feet 17 inches. And a personality trait number 7. Now, the weight modifier, that 6 that we generated, is just going to be multiplied by 1 and added to a base weight. So we are 41 pounds. We have our 2 personality traits and our ideal bond and flaw, as was prescribed by O'Sheeps. £41 of fury. Well, of fury, and also, even if we drop the Y, of fur and fuzz. Since we have a Beastmaster Ranger and a Totem Warrior Barbarian multiclass. This is going to be a cool build. Who's also a Golgari agent, mind you. All right. Yes. For anyone who's new here, or hey, if you just want a refresher because we've been away for a little bit, we have now pulled the basic elements of our character out of the ether, out of sheer randomness. And now it is time to look at the points we've created and to draw this character into life by exploring the character's background, their lifestyle, their mannerisms, by taking inspiration from the points that we've defined and saying, how can a person like this exist? What would happen? Or with our knowledge of things that already exist, how could the things that we're aware of play into building a character such as this? Pardon. Raging and riding. He's a very furry, yeah, very furry Smurf. I mean, it's out of Victor. That sort of stuff is out of Wizards' hands. It's your game. You can have NPC companions be whatever you want them to be. It's up to you as the player, you as the DM or GM. You know, if you are not worried about an NPC stepping up and stealing the show because the NPC is, you know, that the story's all about the NPC because the NPC is the only one who can do this, or the NPC is always good at this and so the NPC always does it, and takes away player fun because the NPC is too powerful. It's all contextual for the game that you want to run. Victor, I will argue, Beastmaster, your beast can output your DPR as a ranger. And you can do some amazing stuff as a Beastmaster Ranger. I know that there's that it is a meme to hate on the Beastmaster Ranger. You play the Beastmaster Ranger differently than you play other classes. And I would say, Victor, because your companion is arguably better than you are. Your beast companion, I mean, depending on the one that you have, can climb better than you, can fly, can swim. Many beast companions have a higher damage output than you do. So, it requires a different style of play to play a Beastmaster Ranger. That being said, the Beastmaster Ranger that you're going to see in this player's handbook has not been amended because there have been some errata, some official tweaks that you can download that have been brought up when the gift set of the core rulebooks have come out. So I will be adding any of the features that the Beastmaster gets. Just know that what you see in this book is going to be slightly different than the options presented from an errataed version that Wizards of the Coast has put out. But before we even get to this, I love starting with the background of the character. And I'm sorry, I was addressing people who are new here. Now that we have these points of data, we're going to build our character. And unlike what the player's handbook instructs you to do, go race, class, background, we are going to start with the background. Our background tells us so much more about our character than even our race or our class does. Those are parts of our character, yes. This is what is really going to define who our character is, not what our character is. And we rolled a Golgari agent. So here we go. Golgari agents on page 53. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Pell. Now, I'm not going to read all the fluff text for anyone who's new here. It's in this book. I want you to get the book. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to own it. You don't have to buy it through my shop. Oh, if you want to, I won't stop you. We're going to be looking at the prompts it gives for mechanics and for roleplay and go from there. Because we may have rolled Golgari Agent, but in the world we're creating for these adventurers to exist, maybe this is not taking place on Ravnica. And we're just taking the concept of the Golgari Agent and applying it towards whatever else we'd want to call it. All right, our background is going to give us proficiency in nature and survival. We are also going to have tool proficiencies with a poisoner's kit. We're going to get to choose a language of Elvish, Giant, or Crawl. Or in this case, it could be something else if we do not choose to use Ravnica, which we're probably not going to use Ravnica as the setting. But I don't know. We'll see. What if we randomly roll all Ravnica backgrounds? Yeah, that might define it. Anyway. I have to look up the languages that Svirfneblin, I imagine, are going to get Common and Gnomish. They might get Undercommon. I'd have to double check. But we're going to get Elvish, Giant, or Crawl. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to just make this modal here. Not as a universal placeholder, because it's a narrow band in some way. But yeah, we'll choose as what would end up being appropriate, because we're also going to get some languages from our... We're going to get some languages from our favorite enemies, too. Alright, equipment. We're going to get a Golgari insignia. I'm going to put that in brackets as well, because it might not end up being the Golgari, but something similar. In other words, it's proof that we belong to this organization. We're also going to get a poisoner's kit. A pet beetle or spider. Now, that might end up defining, then, our animal companion. Maybe it's a giant wolf spider. So in this case, while normally this would just be a little pet beetle or spider, some roleplay implications. Maybe you could have some fun with it, and I don't know. Your DM says, yeah, if you want to put it in battle, it could deal like 1 point of piercing damage or something like that. However, we could probably end up having this prompt of a beetle of some kind or a spider of some kind be our beast companion. So let's put that down here on page 4, which we don't often get to use. So we're going to put a beetle or a spider of some kind. We're also going to get a set of common clothes. And a belt pouch that contains 10 gapuz. Our background feature is Undercity Paths. Hidden underground pathways that you can use to bypass crowds, obstacles, and observation as you move through the city. When you are in combat, you and companions... So this is kind of like what the Urchin has out of the player's handbook. So it doesn't guarantee safety, but it guarantees better mobility in a sort of a sewer-like environment. Swamp and forest, especially for a Golgari, would be is still very appropriate here. Now, your Ravnica backgrounds are perhaps a little bit more powerful, because you do get access to expanded spells by being a part of a guild. And if your DM allows this, your DM might not allow your guild spells. But if we roll with it, because we are going to get spell casting from being a ranger, for you, the spells on the Golgari guild spell list table are added to the spell list for your spell casting class. And so we can decide. We can decide if we want to supplement our ranger spells with Golgari guild spells as well. Although I imagine some of this we're going to see already in the ranger, like Entangle, I think is there. I don't think Ray of Sickness is, and so we could take Ray of Sickness if we so chose. Oh, by the way, thank you for answering the question about the Golgari in chat that I missed. Sorry about that. But you know what? You're an awesome community out there. Now, what is his personality like? Well, we rolled 2 personality traits, number 4 and number 7. And let's discover our character. I'm going to scoot this over just a bit so I can read this more easily. Personality trait number 4. I do my best to discourage anyone from approaching or talking to me. I don't know, so maybe we just we'll hiss at people or we'll just turn our backs. We seem to be an antisocial character of some kind. All right, now what's another personality reference point? Number 7. I put my knowledge of anatomy to use by narrating the injuries my enemies suffer in grisly detail. You know, so he'd command his spider or his beetle to bite, and would, you know, does it have to be exactly that? Do all is there a 1 in 8 chance of every 8th Golgari, arguably even more because 2 personality traits, will always narrate this? Not necessarily, though. This is giving us a prompt that our character does have maybe a morbid sense, or lacks a brain to mouth filter, or in some way, wants to double down on the creep factor because, he would narrate that, you feel the venom injecting into you. Yes, it's a neurotoxin. About now, you'll probably be feeling a bit tingly. That's just, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we have someone who's more antisocial, someone who is more on the grisly side of things. It has been around death, is aware of decomposition, or how a body acts or reacts. And this doesn't even have to be to a person. Remember, we hunt. We are favored, or our favorite enemies are aberrations and elementals. In this instance, then, we are learning about some bizarre biology, but we have to, in order to go out and interact with these things. People might not like who we are for our personality, or we might be shunned by society, but we do society a service. Just because we're antisocial doesn't mean that we're a bad person either. Now, his ideal. Number 3. Nature. The natural world is more important than the edifices of the city and civilization. Well, if we do hunt down the unnatural aberrations, or the the point where nature is becomes dangerous by forming an elemental, we don't actually have the cycle of breakdown and rebirth, or the balance of the elements. Perhaps that's why we hunt elementals, is because you can't have too much in one place or bad things will happen. And so we are fine living out in the swamp, in the forest. Not only does it give us a chance to hunt, it connects us. And our bond is number 1. I cherish the finger of a family member who was petrified by a Medusa. Now, in Golgari terms, that is something that is, that could happen. The Gorgons are a part of the Golgari in Ravnica. In this case, though, maybe there's something else, another kind of gruesome trophy, perhaps, that we've collected. A family member that that had something happen. Maybe a family member turned into an aberration, and we had to put that aberration down. Maybe that's what set us on this path. That's our level 1 favorite enemy. What if this is something? Have any of you read the manga Claymore, or even seen the anime Claymore? If so, then perhaps that's a similar process about turning into an aberration. If not, I'm not going to spoil things. But you should read it, because Claymore's a really good series, in my humble opinion. And so perhaps what set our character on the path is something happened to a family member. And in these lands where this character exists, people might succumb to something. That end up becoming aberrations of some kind. So I put petrified by a Medusa as it's a prompt. It doesn't have to exactly be that. Though this is a good point of reference and something for us to consider about, what happened with our character. Have a great night, Coffee. Thanks for hanging out with us. And lastly, our flaw, because we are all flawed creatures, is number 3. I feel a need for revenge against those who enjoy the privilege of living above ground. Or we could replace this, again, we'll put this in brackets, the privilege of living in a city. Maybe the privilege of people who never had to worry that their family was going to be visited by whatever, like the creeping fog that transmogrifies people or whatever. Or, never has to worry about being attacked by the aberrant maker or something like that. In Ravnica, of course, this is extremely setting appropriate, because Golgari do not usually live above ground. They live in the sewers, the caverns. They live in underground, out of the way places. If they lived above ground, the closest might be alongside some gruel in sort of slum areas, broken down areas. Areas where the city is crumbling and returning to, you know, returning to nature, that kind of a thing. Now, there's a couple other roleplay prompts that come along with the Golgari background. Oh, hi, buddy. So, to the extent that the Golgari swarm, remember, this is specific to Ravnica, our swarm, our Golgari swarm, can be something different. It could be an organization like what you see in Claymore or The Witcher or something like that. To the extent that the Golgari swarm acts like a single organism, you are connected to every other member in some way or another. Convinced that the rest of the world is out to get you, you find it easy to form close bonds with your guildmates, and harder to make meaningful connections with others. Roll twice on the Golgari contacts table for ally and rival, and once on the non-Golgari contacts table. And yes, Gorgons are absolutely a part of the Golgari here. In fact, these pictures do a very good job of summarizing the Golgari. So we're going to have our guild ally, our guild rival, and our non-guild contact. Funny man, will you please roll a d8 in chat to give us our ally? All right, Black Wolf, I'll have you roll a d8 in a second also. All right, Black Wolf, can you roll a d8? Exclamation point 1d8. Rerolled a 3. Our ally is number 3. I know a, and then we could put Medusa or something. We know something who is stationed at, or who's stationed in the guild hall. Now we need a rival. Duelist Demonic, will you please give me a d8 roll in chat also with exclamation point 1d8? Who's going to be someone in this group that is going to be a rival to us? Not necessarily an enemy. Oh, Black Wolf, thank you very much. Duelist might be away. Kevin. Black Kevin, can you please give me a d8 roll? Gnomes are small, yes. Oh, alright. Duelist is stepping up and gave us a 3. Ah, so 3. So our we have, apparently, we have, We can do this too. They don't have to necessarily be different. Wouldn't that be interesting if they were Medusas? If it was almost like a Hydra, where it might have been kind of like an Etten. Or like a conjoined twin of a Medusa, where it's actually like, it's two. It's like 2 heads, and so when we go to the guild hall, you know, we're really good friends with one, but the other one is suspicious or something like that. That could be interesting. All right, Kevin, roll a d10 for me for our non-Golgari contact. Lands on a 2. Someone joined the Gruul, or in this case, whatever this other guild is. Someone joined the Gruul in a battle against the Boros, quote unquote, once. And the sergeant of that Boros squad would love to prove that it was me. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go, but thank you for your time, and I love the interaction you have with your chat to create cool random D&D characters. Thank you, Duelist Demonic. I hope that you that we get to see you again, and if not here, when we're not broadcasting, you're always welcome to hang out with us on our Discord as well. If you type !Discord, it will generate a link for you to come by and say hi. We keep it safe for work, no worse than PG-13, and so if you like what we do and who we are here, that is simply an extension of it. All right, so now we know about our character. We know his mannerisms. We know perhaps a little bit more, not just about who he is, but what about the world in which he lives, which is going to be, this is going to be very important as we build a world. As we're going to build a world in this coming workshop week, where we're going to make maps, we're going to make NPCs, we'll make villains and such, and we'll tie it all together in a fun adventure. Be well, Duelist. It is time now that we know who our character is, regardless of multi-classing and all that. Because we could have, everything we've just gone over could have been a Minotaur, could have been a Warforged, could have been a Hill Dwarf, could have been a Green Dragonborn. And that's why this is so defining for your character. This is your character's character. The other things, the fact that they're a Dragonborn or any of this other stuff, it's important, but it's not as important as what kind of a world developed this character. Coming over here, we now need to go to, I believe, that the deep gnomes are in the elemental evil, along with the Aarakocra. There we go. Here is the flavor text about them in a, I guess, a normal D&D setting. I don't need to go over it. You can read it. It's a good prompt. Whether or not the specifics are applied to your game, that's up to you and your table. There's suggestions for names, but what I'm interested in is this stuff here. Our intelligence score. Our intelligence increases by 2, and our dexterity increases by 1. Our base walking speed is 25 feet, 12 climb, 12 swim, 0 fly. We have superior dark vision, so we have 120 feet of dark vision. We have gnome cunning. You have advantage on all int, whiz, and charisma saving throws against magic. So advantages, int, whiz, cha versus magic. Stone camouflage. You have advantage on dexterity stealth checks to hide in rocky terrain. I'm going to list this here as a reference. If you want to know the full abilities, again, the sources, the documents are available to you at your friendly local game store. Some of them are online, like the Player's Companion you can find, or you can go on D&D Beyond as well if you'd like. Now, languages. So it is Common, Gnomish, and it was Undercommon as well. The Svirfneblin dialect is more guttural, and most Svirfneblin only know a little bit of Common. Okay. So, yep, that was Undercommon. If your DM allows the use of feats from Chapter 6, which, hey, we did roll into... your deep-known character has access to the following special feat, Svirfneblin Magic. You have inherited the innate spellcasting ability of your ancestors. This ability allows you to cast non-detection on yourself at will without needing a material component. You can also cast each of the following spells once with this ability: Blindness, Deafness, Blur, and Disguise Self. You regain the ability to cast these spells when you finish a long rest. Those are really good, and perhaps we'll end up taking that as one of our feats. I'll put this in parentheses just in case unless we decide on changing it to something else. Hi, Daily. I don't know why you didn't get the notification, but yeah, we're here making a character. Okay. Now we're going to go to the player's handbook, and it is time to add on our classes and subclasses in our multi-classed character. Yep, Ranger was our first, so we're going to start with this. Multi-classing isn't too difficult in 5th edition. Well, compared to other editions, even. In this case, we have the benefit of looking at a level 11 character, and we can go back and split it how we want. Now, if you're playing through a character, you might want to think ahead and say, well, at character level 6, I'll take my 2nd level of Barbarian, because I already have 4 levels of Ranger. And so, and so you can mix and match, you can stack, you can go one on, one off, one on, one off. As long as at some point in time you meet the requirements to be able to multi-class. And in fact, before we start on this, I'm going to show you what that means real quick in Chapter 6. You have to have certain minimum ability scores in the class in which you start and the one into which you want to go to multi-class into. And so we're starting as a ranger. Rangers need a dex and wisdom of 13. Barbarians need at least a 13 in strength. And so I'm going to note that here, that we need at least this at some point to be able to multi-class into Barbarian. And we don't have to worry, well, I'll get to Barbarian in a second here. Let's just build. Let's build our Ranger. Whoops. Now, how far do we want to take Ranger? I'd want it to at least be a minimum of a, you know, I want to splash in at least that 3rd level of Barbarian to explore, pardon, the totem worship. And if we did that, that would put us at 8. We'd have an 8-3, and that would give us land stride. If we wanted to peel it back a little bit and go 7-4, we would still get our Ranger archetype feature here. And we would get an ASI in our Barbarian at level 4. The most I'd want to mix would be a 6-5. 6 would give us our favorite enemy in Natural Explorer, which we have anyway, because that's like the minimum. But let's take a quick look at Barbarian as well at these levels. So we have 3, 4, or 5. Extra attack, but we're already gonna get extra attack from Ranger, and those do not stack. We would get fast movement, however, and that could be interesting if we do this half and half split. And unfortunately, we're not going to get our next path feature until 6th level. But if we are an on-again, off-again Ranger Barbarian, maybe that would end up being our next level when we level up would be to go to 6 and 6, so we get our next path feature at that point. Especially because our main is Ranger. I think I'd like to build this level 11. I think a 7-4. I think a 7-4 would be good here. So we're gonna do that. Esso, welcome. I'm new to D&D, and I am making a Genasi fighter archery style. Is there any mistakes I should keep an eye out for? Just thinking to be the wind that shakes the forest. Esso, in the grand scheme of things, it is difficult to make a bad character in 5th edition. In fact, because of the interesting nature of 5th edition, that's what really makes these random builds so viable that we do in the workshop, like what you're seeing here. Yeah, we would get that a Ranger archetype feature at 7, Kevin. So really, Esso, my best advice to you is going to sound generic, but honestly, this is the most potent advice you could have. Have a fun character concept and roll with it. Unless you're playing, like, specifically some kind of super hardcore dungeon crawl, don't worry about min-maxing your character. Don't worry that, you know, you have to have the highest numbers always. If you have a character in mind that's based on a comic book character, a novel, a movie, something like that, build towards it. Have fun. Have a conversation with your dungeon master to find out about the world in which your character lives, because your character is going to be intrinsically a part of that world. Will be a product of it. Will want to help or harm the world, in whichever way your character in the story takes you. You know, there are mechanics, and the mechanics will happen. Don't try to put too much emphasis on that. You know, because you may want to make an archery fighter, and those are very potent. You can do a lot of stuff as an archery fighter. But remember to focus on your character and not just on your math. But yeah, if you have any more, hey Crumdrade, if you have any more specific questions, you're welcome to ask. All right, over on our character sheet here, we are going to split our hit dice. Our Ranger hit dice, we are a D10 hit die class as a Ranger, and we have 7 levels of it, so wouldn't you know, we have 7 D10 hit die that we can use to rejuvenate our hit points without the need for magic or potions on rests. We are going to get some proficiencies: light armor, medium armor, and shields. We are going to know simple and martial weapons. no tool proficiencies, and our saving throws are going to be strength and dexterity. Now we're going to get to choose 3 skills from the following list: animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Let's take a look at who our character is. I do my best to discourage anyone from approaching or talking to me, and I put my knowledge of anatomy to use by narrating the injuries my enemies suffer in grisly detail. That could end up being, that could be nature, that could be perception, to watch and to listen for what is happening. Our ideal is nature. The natural world is more important than the edifices of the city and civilization. Strong case for nature. Strong case for survival. I cherish the finger of a family member who was in the specific Ravnican prompt is petrified by a Medusa. This could have been, though, something else. I feel a need for revenge against those who enjoy the privilege of living in some other location, a city above ground, free from, some sort of socioeconomic strife, or people who don't actually have to go out and, earn their meals by farming them, by, slaughtering the animals themselves, or something along those lines. Yes, we have a Deep Gnome, Beastmaster, Ranger / Totem Barbarian. So we get 3. We are very natural. We already have survival. So I think, and we already have nature from being the Golgari agent. So I think what we could do, what about animal handling? I think is going to be a good one for him because he's very in touch with nature. Perception, and probably stealth. I don't know what. Yeah, stealth would work as well. As a Beastmaster Ranger, honestly, you're the platform for your pet. Your pet puts out so much damage and does so many other things that, as long as you survive, to help command it and to train it, that's important. And also, I do my best to discourage anyone from approaching or talking to me. Maybe we stick to the shadows a lot. So I think based on our character, this is what his skill set is. And if you have another suggestion, hey, throw it out there. This is our character, not my character. We're going to get some starting equipment: scale mail or leather armor, 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons, a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack, a longbow, and a quiver of arrows. That is an excellent argument to make with your Dungeon Master, Cromdrade, going off of what the class features are in the player's handbook. If we're sticking to that, medicine would be very good. I agree, because of those prompts. If we're going by just what the book has, this is what I would choose in that instance. Though moments like this, Cromdrade, are absolutely fine when you take your character to your Dungeon Master and you ask him or her, I get these 3 skills, but I really want to play into the creep factor. I want to play into the knowledge of anatomy. I want to play into this. Would you let me take medicine instead of insight? They're both wisdom skills. Or however you want to propose it. And your DM may very well say, oh, heck yeah. Have fun with it. I actually look forward to how you're gonna describe these wounds. And there you go. We've had communication, and that's what D&D is. It's a game of fun and communication with each other. And while they do have a culture of stealth, to reflect that though, you know, we can hide in rocky terrain specifically. So a higher base general stealth would be even more than just rocks. And if we do take this Svirfneblin magic, that would lean a lot more into it. Yeah, right, Krumdrade. All right, so we're probably gonna wear some. Let's wear some scale mail. 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons. Well, you know, with the starting equipment here, as we're going to be issuing a lot of our commands and our action is going to be through our is going to be through our pet. Again, a lot of what we do. Whoa, Guten Morgen, Physaris. Happy New Year to you. You know, our job is to try and survive as best we can, to survive or protect our animal companion. Because remember, if you're playing a Beastmaster, you have to play differently than what you might be used to with other D&D characters. Because it isn't so much about it is your character. The animal is the extension of your character, but, you know, your animal is many of your attacks. The animal is many of your actions that you would be taking in combat. Did you do a lot of traditional stuff? Did you have some good sauerkraut or, oh, you know what? Oh, no, that's more towards Mardi Gras when the potchkis are eaten. Oh, but yeah, so I guess, did you have a New Year's pretzel and some sauerkraut? Did you find the pickle in your Christmas tree? Yeah, you don't want to lose your good arm. That's a good way of putting it, Krumdrade. So if we go heavier armor, and again, this would be something that you can talk to your DM about. It says 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons. Would your DM let you take a shield, because you are proficient with shields as a ranger? Can you take a shield and a weapon of some kind? In fact, what you might end up even doing is go like a sling and a shield. Hide behind your shield and whip stones over it. On the occasion that you are actually needed in combat. But to stick with things, just while medicine would be a very good extension, we don't start with a shield. So we would probably go with 2 simple melee weapons. But whatever that ends up being, you know, towards the end of this broadcast year, I simply started going, you know, dex weapons and strength weapons. Whatever they are, this is a bonus to attack, and this is the damage. Now, if you wanted to come in and say that we have, you know, if we get 2 simple melee weapons and you want it to be if you want to have specifically a spear or something, type them in. All these characters are going to be available, well, and all the past ones we've made are available for download on our Discord as well. And so you can modify it as you wish. So we'll probably end up getting a Dungeoneer and Explorers pack. Well, we're good at Dungeoneering. That said, if we're not used to being above ground a lot of time, maybe we have an Explorers pack. It's up to you. A longbow and a quiver of arrows. So we'll just put quiver 20 arrows for the longbow that's up here. That would be a dex weapon, and etc. and so forth. Hi, Wolfblade. You sent some rockets up. One decided to spin sideways and explode close to the ground. Oh no! Hopefully, no one no one was hurt or property was damaged. No alerts for Prime sub. If you just did, then I did not get an alarm for that, Wolfblade. And Game Moose, thank you very much for the host. Hi, Derek. Cryofrost, great to see you. Derek, we're making a Golgari character in our character randomizer. Now we have our favorite enemies that were randomly determined. They were aberrations at level 1 and elementals at level 6. Was there on the screen? If I missed a visual, but I don't see in my history, it didn't show up as it. Derek, did you get a chance at all to listen to that audiobook that I sent to you? Gotcha, Fi. Hey, there we go, Wolfblade. There's the notification. That might end up being a good plot for you. But other than that, you know, Derek, for something like Call of Cthulhu, it would be, you know, take something that is very common or normal, and then just, you know, twist it ever so slightly. And suddenly this becomes the foundation for the mystery and the horror, because there's one little thing that starts out differently, and it causes ripples from that point forward. I know that's a quick and dirty. It's easy for me to say, and you're the one who has to write it. But in its own way, I hope that helps some. There is, Derek. I don't have one here. For Free Comic Book Day, there was a Call of Cthulhu adventure. I think it was called In the Walls, or Scratching in the Walls. You can probably find that as a PDF and download it. Because it was a part of Free Comic Book Day, you shouldn't have to pay for it either. But it would be a good kind of introductory adventure to Call of Cthulhu. So check out the free RPG Day content, and you'll probably find a couple short adventures from Call of Cthulhu that have been offered through that event over the course of years. So we have our favorite enemy of aberrations and elementals. We have our Natural Explorer, which is giving us a lot of bonuses in certain terrain. And we have Swamp and Forest, which, hey, you know what? Considering we're rolling a Golgari agent or an equivalent, we are producing, I saw it mentioned in chat above, we are producing black and green mana, aren't we? And hey, you know what? It writes itself, everyone. And if you know that command, capital M, lowercase IWI, what you'll find here for anyone that's new, our characters write themselves. The stories write themselves when you start the creation process. And it's fun to see just how that happens, and without a ton of extra effort. We have our fighting style as well. We are dueling. So if we're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls. Now, that said, if we're going Beastmaster Ranger, we probably would want the defense to get that bonus to AC. But you know what? Just because we don't have that doesn't mean that it's a bad character. Now, we are going to get spell casting as well, and we'll get to that. But that's one of the last things we do. We have our Ranger archetype, which is fine. We'll throw that in there. We are also going to get Primeval Awareness and an extra attack by level 7, right? We're a level 7 Ranger. Barbarians, now the Totem gets spells, kind of, but they don't have spell slots, so we don't need to worry about mixing the slots for multiclassing. We're going to just give ourselves 5, 4, and 3. Oh, I'm sorry. 5 is our spells known. 4 and 3. 4 and 3 for our spell slots. Because Barbarian's not going to add on to that. And our character level is 11, so we are going to have a proficiency bonus of +4. Your proficiency bonus is tied to your character level, not your class. Remember that. Wolfblade, can I get a gotcha from the community mini pool? Yes, when we finish this character, we can do that for you, Wolfblade. That is a cool concept, Derek. You know, my own city, actually, and you can work this in. The city in which I live was founded by Masons. And the original street plan and it still exists in the way that the city's laid out, is as the Masonic symbol. And so I would always joke around that the city is sealing in some great evil under Lake Erie or something along those lines. So have fun with that, and you know, see if your players notice, you know, maybe there's a pattern in the way the streets have been laid out or something along those lines. Game moves, and yeah, there's also free comic book day to consider as well. All right, we have made our ranger, and I will say that what we do get to add to this as well, because we get languages based on our favorite enemies. Aberrations, mini aberrations usually speak deep speech, and elementals, I mean, you could have fun with it. If you just want to take the catch-all, kind of like the Latin of elemental, that would be primordial. Though, if we wanted to specialize, maybe hunt water elementals, then we can specifically speak, read, and write Aquan. And so those are fun little bonuses we get from our favorite enemies as well. Ranger archetypes, we're not the hunter, we're the beastmaster. And so we are going to get the Ranger's Companion. And there are a set of rules here. You'll have to read them yourself because I don't want to read through them all here. This is in a core rulebook. You can probably even find it in a system resource, SRD, a system resource document. And at 7th level, we give them exceptional training. I will mention that the Beastmaster Ranger did receive an errata update last year when the gift set rulebooks came out. And I would urge you to take a look at some of the verbiage that was tweaked for the Beastmaster Ranger from that free downloadable errata. Now we're going to multi-class into Barbarian. And when you do, we're going to get to use shields, simple weapons, martial weapons. So, nothing really gained there. Unless you work with your DM to throw in, I don't know, like a Barbarian skill or something along, you know, whatever. Again, communicate, talk. Which means that we're going to go right into Barbarian and add in 4 levels. We are a D12 hit die class as a Barbarian. We get 4 D12, and so as you can see over here, we have them differentiated. When you spend hit dice, you just choose whichever ones you want to roll. You don't have to use one up. Proficiencies, you do not get these because those were replaced by the multi-class proficiencies. And you also do not get the starting equipment unless your DM says otherwise. So we are going to get to Rage. And at level 4, we are raging 3 times per day. And we get +2 rage damage. Rage 3 per long rest. +2 damage. We are going to get to Reckless Attack. We're going to get Danger Sense. You know, this is a really cool character. The more and more that I'm building this would be a fun character to play. And we're going to get our primal path at 3, and then of course at 4, that's when we get our ASI, but we know that it's going to be taken up by a feat. Yeah, we'll talk about the totems in just a second for that. Our primal path as a totem warrior, we are going to get to be a spirit seeker, which really this is just going to end up going on our spell sheet here. And I believe those are second level spells. Spirit Seeker, Beast Sense, Ritual Only, and Speak with Animals, Ritual Only. We're going to get a Totem Spirit. And you don't have to be locked into just bear, eagle, or wolf. If there's another animal you like that has properties similar, then choose it. Also, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, I believe, offers a couple more totems for you to consider. It just by going by what I have in front of me here, though. While raging, you have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. The spirit of the bear makes you tough enough to stand up to any punishment. That survivability could be huge, especially when we're trying to survive for 2. Eagle, while you're raging and aren't wearing heavy armor, other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attack rolls against you, and you can use the dash action as a bonus action on your turn. The spirit of the eagle. Now, this would be good as well, I believe. This would let us bait out reactions so that our animal companion doesn't have to worry about AOs, because we're baiting out those attacks, and we're bleeding out those reactions from enemies that might try and swing on our pet. As well, it makes us very mobile, so we can distract, we can put ourselves in front of, we can do a lot of things as this eagle. While you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you. The spirit of the wolf makes you a leader of hunters. And so this could be, this could also help assure that your animal companion is hunting even more efficiently. Because this would be your friend, have advantage on melee attack rolls. So your beetle, your spider, whatever, your goat, I saw in chat, would have advantage on attack rolls as you guide them into combat. A raging deep gnome. Why am I thinking of Yoda? I could kind of appropriate if we go here. We go to the, I mean, just green. I mean, that's a broader face, but I could totally see this as, you know, an age-enhanced Baby Yoda. So all of these would be good for a Beastmaster Ranger. I guess it would come down to, you know, what would we want to do here? You know, I discourage anyone from approaching or talking to me. I put my knowledge of anatomy into use by narrating the injuries my enemies suffer. You know, that mobility. Or if we want that grisly detail, maybe we do give advantage to our animal companion. I feel the need for revenge against those who enjoy the privilege of living in a particular area. So yeah, I mean, whatever totem spirit, I'm just gonna put a generic totem spirit here, and you can choose if you download this character what you'd want it to be. Okay, now it is time. Look at how much character we've made, and we don't even have ability scores yet. And that's the beauty of this process. You know, this isn't going to take a ton of time here. Now, we need to make sure that we have 13s in at least these 3.
Nothing wanted. Just feeling generous.
Oh, Shukon. Well, Shukon, do you want me to put that towards the computer upgrade? Or do you want that in the community pool? You let me know. So we need 13 strength, dex, and wisdom. I'm going to have to get rid of these. Actually, I don't have to because we're going to put our ability, our standard array here. I think for sure, for survivability and for attacking, dexterity is going to be important. That's also going to let us support. That's going to let us support our animal a little bit better. So if we're starting as a ranger, so we should go 15, maybe 14 with our wisdom, and then we could put the 13 in our strength. If we do that, right away we meet our minimums at level 1, and we don't have to worry about them. We want to have some survivability, so perhaps a 12 con, a 10 int. Of course, we get that gnomish bonus as well. But if you think that he's more intelligent, you know, we do narrate injuries, and you know, we would have an intellectual knowledge of things. The natural world's more important. You know what? Maybe actually in this case we'd have a neutral constitution, and we want to go 14 intelligence. Whatever you'd want to do. And charisma is our dump score, and that's not just even as a meme. Our character does not want to be seen, doesn't want to interact, probably feels very self-conscious around other people. So that's going to bring us to a 14 intelligence and a 16 dexterity. We are going to get 2 feats. One of those, Svirfneblin magic, could very well be a part of him. Blindness, deafness, blur, and disguise self. These can help him, especially if he's like guiding his creature. He can sort of be indiscriminately, you know, hiding or doing that from the shadows. I think this can work very well. And it makes him more Svirfneblin-y. If we do this, we can cast non-detection at will. And I am not sure at what level non-detection is. Let's check out in the player's handbook. That is a wizard spell. That is a 3rd level spell. So Svirfneblin magic is going to give us non-detection at will. We can also cast each of the following spells once with this ability. Per long rest. Blindness, deafness, blur, and disguise self. Blindness, deafness is 2nd level, as is blur. And disguise self is 1st level? Yeah. Svirfneblin magic. Disguise self. Although, oh, it does say intelligence. All right. So having a higher intelligence is going to be good for this. There we go. And we can take a second feat of some kind. We're going to go back to Chapter 6. This is a heck of a character to start with here. We could get some boosts to our defenses by being a defensive duelist. We're not necessarily a dual wielder, I think. We do use a shield. We also wear medium armor and what could be interesting is Shield Master. You take the action on your turn. You can use a bonus action to try and shove a creature. If you're incapacitated, you add your shield's AC to any dex saving throw you make. And if you're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dex saving throw to only take half damage, so this would help keep us alive. We could take Warcaster to help keep our spells going. Something else that could be interesting, Mounted Combatant. If we do have an animal companion that could carry us, but I don't know. Even as a small creature, I don't even think I don't know if a dire dire spider or a giant wolf spider could do that. Medium armor master would be cool because it doesn't disimpose stealth checks on our stealth checks, and we do want to stay stealthy. And when you wear medium armor, you can add 3 rather than 2 to your AC. And of course, we have that with a 16. So that would help survivability and to help keep us sneaking around and keep our spider or our beetle or whatever our companion is lurking out and doing things. We can also skulk. You can be a skulker. You can try and hide when you're lightly obscured from the creature from which you're hiding. You're hidden and miss it with a ranged weapon attack. It doesn't reveal your position, so you can offer some support to your animal companion. Dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your perception checks, which is good because we have 120 feet then of being able to make perception checks in complete darkness instead of at disadvantage. Hi, Bubonic. A giant wolf spider could carry 180 pounds. Well, I mean, it depends on whatever animal companion he'd end up getting. Would he get a spider or a beetle? You know, what would he take? Do you just want to give him a wolf or a goat or a cow? Are we? Yeah, exactly, Shugan. Are we all not just beasts of the land? So which feat do you think would fit? I mean, we can give him sharpshooter for that support. I don't know. Skulker seems pretty good. Medium armor master seems good. The shield master seems really good. What could be interesting as well, and even a tad ironic, would be if we gave them... Oh, maybe that's an invocation that lets you summon elementals. Yeah, observant would work, especially for a hunter as well, Shukan, because we know the speech of our enemies. We know deep speech and primordial. And so that could help us out, especially if we are hidden. So yeah, observant could be good as well. All right, so what would y'all like? Throw me. I'm happy with any of these. What do you want this character to have? I mean, alert can be universal. I don't think this character especially would lean towards alert. Cromdrade, you're saying Skulker? All right. Being able to see without disadvantage at 120 feet out in perfect darkness is pretty good. And as well, we can make those attacks without revealing our hidden nature. It's too late, Shukon. The ink is dry. It's never coming off of this PDF. Now, honestly, if y'all want to download the character and change it to Observant, I'd be happy with Observant also. Skulker works, but Cromdrade beat you to it after the prompt. Now, none of these are going to affect the scores here. So we have a 1 strength, 3 dex, 0 con, 2 int, 2 wisdom, and a -1 charisma. This is going to give us a saving throw of 5, athletics of 1. Hey, Bubonic. Aw, thank you, Bubonic. That's so kind of you. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. Dexterity of 7, stealth of 7, acrobatic sleight of hand of 3, con is 0. Int, we're going to go, we have been a studious boy. Nature, however, is going to be a 6. Wisdom, insight, medicine are 2s. Then we go 6s down the line for animal handling, perception, and survival. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this -1 to our socials. All right, passive perception is going to be a 16. That's 10 plus our perception modifier. Armor class. Well, for wearing scale mail, that is a 14. And then it medium armor caps at a +2. So we have a 16. Now, if we had a shield, that would go to an 18. If we took defensive fighting style, that would go to a 19 at level 1 if your DM allowed a shield. But right now, you know, vanilla as we build it with those side mentions of prompts to Dungeon Masters, we have a 16 armor class. Our initiative is simply a dex check, so we have a +3. Current hit points. At level 1, we get all 10 of our ranger hit die. Then for our remaining 6 of our 7 levels, because our first level counted towards that, 6 levels times 6 hit points, because that's half +1 of our hit die. Now, for Barbarian, you do not, as your first level of Barbarian, you do not get the full 12. That's only at first character level. So all 4 of our Barbarian levels are going to be 7 hit points, because that's half +1 of the D12 hit die. Then for all 11 of our hit points, or of our levels, we would get bonus hit points equal to our Constitution modifier. And in this case, it's a 0, because instead of going 12 con, we put 12 in intelligence with the 2 to give it 14. If you wanted to swap that out, instead of 11 times 0, that'd be 11 times 1, and you'd have 11 bonus hit points to add on. In this case, you know, easy math, 11 times 0 cancels out. 6 times 6 is 36. 4 times 7 is 28. This is going to go to a 46 plus 28, 54. We have 74 hit points at level 11. And we're no longer a set of stats, everyone. Congratulations, we have earned a name. Now, if we're attacking with dex weapons, with which we have proficiency, we're going to be attacking at a +7. If we're attacking with strength weapons, this is going to be at a +5. Damage is going to be whatever is appropriate for you raging, dueling, or the weapon itself. So that's up to you. This is just the prompt telling you, you know, you want a spear, you want a sling, you know, that's what this is. We have our spell slots. Now, if we're making an attack, this is off of our ranger magic, because specifically our other ones have tags next to them. With ranger magic, if we make an attack, this is off of wisdom, so this is going to be a +6 to attack, and to save versus our ranger spell effects, that's going to be a 14. We have our spell slots, 4 first level, 3 second level. And we come down here, spellcasting ability, we have wisdom, It was a 14 to save, which is a +6 to hit. If we want, we can put, you know, we don't really have uses of other things. We could put, you know, rages per day, if you don't want them over here. We're casting as a ranger. We have no cantrips. We already have our special spells. So now, when we go back to ranger, you can see we're at 2nd level. We know 2 spells. And because we can only cast 1st level spells, this is where they're located. So I'm going to put level 2 and level 2. At level 3, we learn a 3rd ranger spell. However, it must be a level 1 spell because that's all we can cast right now. At ranger level 4, we still only know 3 spells, as you can see on the chart. However, at ranger level 5, we know a 4th spell, and that spell can be a 2nd level spell if we want. Or if you want another 1st, that's fine too. If we put it down here at 5, and then you'll notice at 6, no, at 7 on the odd levels, because we're a half-caster, we'll get our other spell. Now, when you level up your ranger, you can swap. So, for instance, this other spell you took at character creation, at level 4, if you don't like it, or at level 5, let's say, you can swap it out for another 1st level spell, or if you want another 2nd level spell, have at it. It's semi-fixed, but you do get some options to swap out. So cool. Ta-da! Now, there is the Ranger Companion. That is going to depend on whatever companion you want to give it, plus the accents that being the Beastmaster style Ranger are going to give. But we have, for the most part, we gotta give him a name. But for the most part, we have finished our first character of the last adventure of Matty Morg's Year 2. Oh, and I do want to bring up one more time that in addition to our Ranger spells, you'll find in Chapter 11, if your DM allows for you to have the guild spells, this expands our spell list. We don't get these spells. You know, for the character, we just have access to them to accent the spells that are normally available to us. And hey, what ranger wouldn't like Animate Dead? Hey, 12 for 10. Tower shields are thematically in 5e, just not mechanically. All right, I'm gonna get up and take a break, everyone. Plus, I gotta pull some capsules. So, let's go to the break screen. I'll be just not too long. When I come back, we'll pull some capsules. I'll make sure that that computer update goes through. Shukon, thank you so much for your generosity, and we'll start on another character.